And then finally, you also have time in the car to compose, to think about, what can I talk about? What transformations have I seen in my life this week that could be relevant to my audience? And so you're actually creating time out of nothing, which is what women do. We are so good at creating something from nothing, and it's just such a smart way to run your business.
Yeah, absolutely. And my other favorite hack is I've got this little holder that sits into my air conditioner vent that holds the phone, and it sits there perfectly. So I'm not having to like juggle things and, manage a shaky hand and things like that. It works perfectly and the content looks epic. So talking about
so good.
Talking about epic content, because I know so many of us talk about reels because they look great and we know that they get so much engagement, right? But I know that people spend hours and hours creating reels. So what are your top tips to create reels that look great, that are done really quick?
Yeah, I think we can kind of unpack or take a step back from the reels itself. What are you creating with your content? And the answer has to be transformation. You have to be showing transformation with your content if you want to grow and sell. A lot of people get on social and they see everyone else doing trends, or, I've got to do the latest dance routine to get followers and likes. But I really want to draw your audience's attention back to why you're on social. You're on social to build your business, to build your network and your pipeline of leads. And so to do that, you really need to be focused on showing transformation. Those transformations can be, from before you discovered this product to afterwards, your confidence before you were, in your life previously to this moment now, and you're feeling more confident. You need to bring those stories to life. And once you think about that, there's actually probably content on your phone that shows that. You probably have an old photo of you from years ago on your phone. You probably have a really beautiful photo of you from a date night one time this year. And in fact, you just need to bring those two things together. And so you might not need to film a single thing to create your next viral reel. It might come from simply putting those two pieces of content together in a smart way. So zero work on your behalf, but actually a lot of smarts behind it. Now, you might want to film things, but certainly I would say always think about the transformation. What is the transformation I'm trying to show here? And, what is the next step that people should take after they watch this great transformation? Because they're going to want to be part of what you're doing.
And when you do create reels, do you create them in Instagram, or are you using a separate app?
Yeah, it's a good question. Look, it doesn't really matter what you use to create your reels. Yeah. Definitely using Instagram is great. It's the one app, and it keeps things simple. You can also use a number of different other apps. So there's CapCut. If you're familiar with TikTok, then CapCut is a really great editor. There's also an editor called InShot. There are tons of editors you can use, and it doesn't matter at all. Again, I see people are very caught up in what editing software do I use, or what trend or what audio needs to be on there. And those are really secondary concerns to, what is the transformation I'm showing, and what does this offer my audience? What's in it for them? Yeah. Once you get that right, the editing is just up to you and your personal preference. Like, what do you find easy to use? Instagram, I find easy, and InShot is an app that I find personally easy to get into as a beginner.
Did you get that, guys? InShot, CapCut, Instagram. It's simple. And I love that you're a minimalist, so keep it simple. I find that we just download so many of the latest apps, and then we actually get overwhelmed because you look at your home screen of your iPhone and you're like, I don't even know where to go with this. I don't even know what to do. And you spend so much time not doing the income producing activity, like actually creating the content, but you spend so much time investigating. So talking about one of those trends then that everyone seems to be hot on at the moment, it's threads on Instagram. So can you just give me a quick download into, like, is it all worth it? Like, in terms of driving our online business, is it something that we need to follow the hype, or is it just all hype and it will just disappear?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think, well, I'll answer the first part of your question, which is, what is Threads? Threads is a new app from Instagram. It is text-based sharing. So if you've ever sent a text message, it's just like that, except public. So some people are very textual learners and textual communicators. Some people are fantastic at firing off witty one-liners, and they've got their WhatsApp group, and they're used to this form of communication, and they're really good at it too. So if you are, snappy on the text, then you might love Threads. You might take to it like a duck to water, and it might be a whole new world of opportunity for you to connect with other people and to get in their network, to serve them, be helpful, and then consider them part of your pipeline of leads. So it's great. But if you are not a text-based communicator, if you are more of a visual thinker, then all kind of text is just not going to be your jam. And I find this as well, like with YouTube, if you don't ever participate on YouTube, if you're not the sort of person who sits down and watches an hour and 15 minutes of a tutorial video, then you don't need to feel that kind of pressure that you have to be on YouTube. If it's not your world, then don't feel that pressure. I certainly love Instagram because I'm a visual person. I love photos. I'm a photographer. So for me, it's a space where I can get a lot of energy as a consumer. And then it makes more sense for me then to share things as a content creator as well. So Threads, worth checking out if you're great with words.
Yeah, totally agree with that. And I said that tip in the last chat was all about be where you are. So if you love beautiful content, then create beautiful content. But if you love words, then get into those text-based, those more text-based apps like a Facebook or even a Twitter, or now with Threads as well. But I think so much of the time we put so much pressure on ourselves to chase the latest hype and the latest, there's TikTok out now. Now I've got to create 8-second videos. Now I've got to do this. Now I've got to do that. So, yeah.
Yeah, and it's not sustainable. If it's not your jam, if it doesn't vibe with your energy, you just won't have the stamina to go the distance, because success on all of these platforms really relies on showing up day after day after day. And if you don't actually enjoy it, you're never going to get there. Yeah. But if you do enjoy it, it will never feel like work. It'll always feel enjoyable because you're witty and fun and dropping these, crazy little snarky gifs. If that's your jam, go for it. And that's my jam. So that's where you'll find me.
Yeah. So then talking about Instagram, what are the top tips what are the top features that you recommend? You mentioned a few of them in our last session. What are those things that you absolutely have to integrate into every day?
Yeah, well, one question I get asked a lot is, Jade, how do I grow on Instagram?
Yeah.
I think that's a question we all have. And the answer is really to use all the surfaces of Instagram. So I can take you through them all, but really conceptually, think about Instagram like a planet. There's not just one surface on a planet. There's many. The original surface is the feed. So a photo posted to your feed. That's what a lot of us do. A lot of your audience will be familiar with that. But also we have stories. So stories are kind of shorter form videos. They last only for 24 hours. And what is really interesting about Instagram is that each different surface has a different audience. So there are different people that prefer stories over your feed. So you'll actually reach more people if you're posting to both. And then we have another surface called lives. And again, a completely different algorithm, a completely different type of audience that likes that type of content. So if you are posting on your feed, posting to your stories and posting to your lives, again, you'll reach more people. The more people you reach, the more you grow. So we've got feed, we've got stories, we've got lives, we've got reels. You mentioned that already, the short form video. And then we've also got DMs. So these are the 5 surfaces of Instagram. And the more you use these different surfaces within the one app, the more you will grow your following and the more people will be attracted to you and to what you do.
So are you recommending posting different content to each of those surfaces?
Definitely. Each of those surfaces has a different thing that is really suitable. So for example, your feed, the original thing is to post a pretty photo. That always does well in your feed, and it continues to do well in your feed. Versus your stories, which might be the behind the scenes of that pretty photo. It might be getting dressed for that pretty photo from date night, or it might be, getting ready for hosting that party or that celebration or your kid's birthday. So we've got feed, we've got stories, we've got reels. Reels might be like the highlights. It might be, the room before it was decorated versus the room after, and it's just jammed together, as you said, an 8-second video. So it's got that, great audio with it, and it's a complete summary of it. And then, we've got stories. which might be, we've got DMs where you might like text some photos to your, your friends or your parents or, your family from the birthday party. And then we've got live, and you might go live at the end of the party and just, celebrate how, the amazing milestone that your family was celebrating today and how you feel in the moment. And lives are one of those things that people feel really intimidated about doing. So they're actually an amazing opportunity, because the more intimidating something is, the less competition you're going to have to get seen. So if you can get used to being uncomfortable, if you can, articulate what you're doing and get used to that and practice that, then it is an amazing opportunity to connect with a broader audience.
There's your courage project, guys. Don't you think? But I find that fascinating in terms of, I think so often, that was just an aha moment for me then. So often we think about, I must be on Facebook, I must be on TikTok, I must be on. But actually what we have is so many elements. Like, you have so many different audiences at so many different life cycles of the relationship in one platform. So as you say, like, the people that I watch that post on a feed versus the people that I engage with on their stories is very different. And some people I'm not interested in, like, so I don't engage in their reels or their stories. So that's really fascinating. But then there's other people that, like, I'm all over everything, and then I'm also DMing them. So that's like, they're quite a warm lead, so to speak. So that's fascinating to think about that in terms of that life cycle as well. So yeah,
I think it's so tempting for all of us to, want, the grass is always greener. Oh, I should be on that app, or I should be on that one, rather than actually nurture, pay attention to, and get better at what the opportunities that are right in front of us. And absolutely, you highlighted something really important there, which is the DMs. So the DMs is my favorite surface of all time, because it's such an intimate place to communicate with people. And with Instagram, you've got these incredible functionality there. So it's not only text that you can share, you can also send photos, you can send videos. And my favorite feature of all is voice messages, because I don't know about you, but I'm not that fast with my thumb. And like, the typos are embarrassing, but being able to quickly fire off a 60-second voice message, I can say so much, share so much. People can hear the authenticity in my voice. And often I will find that I will just send these messages to leads and potential clients, and it's really helpful. I'll just share something that I noticed. Oh, did you notice that with that piece of content, you could actually improve it by doing this? And I don't do that to get the sale. I do that to be helpful. And being helpful is actually part of my sales strategy. So it all kind of links together, and I try and make it as easy on my capacity as possible. And that's why I love Instagram voice messages particularly.
Yeah. And one of the things that we're told to focus on is call to action. Like, it's not just about the post, but it's about what you're trying to get out of it in terms of a call to action. So give us a little bit of detail in terms of why these are absolutely essential. And
Yeah, calls to action are really important, and I'm so glad you highlighted that. So when you think about, any kind of book or any kind of TV show, we have a beginning, we have a middle, and we have an end. And it's the same with your content on Instagram or on any social media platform. You want to launch at the beginning with a hook, something that gets your audience's attention, that they're desperate to know more about, which is really important. We can talk about hooks perhaps at another time. And then you kind of follow up with, a bit of the content, a bit of the razzle dazzle, and then you finish with the call to action, which is what you want your audience to do next. Because it's all fine and well to show them, an amazing transformation, but then, they don't know what they should do next. You know what I mean? Yeah. You, as a business owner, need to do the hard work for them. You need to do the thinking for them, lay out the journey that you want them to take, and then wave at the door and encourage them to come through. So in terms of CTAs, I've got a whole bunch. They're really specific. I can rattle them off for you here one at a time, but there's really a whole bunch, like a few things that we want our audience to do when they look at our content. Number one is we want them to like it. A lot of people just like look at content and then move on, and it's like, get back here, come and like this post. So and sometimes you need to encourage that with a CTA, which specifically tells them. So you might say something like, double tap if this is you, or drop a heart if you agree, or tap the heart if you feel the same. So really simple CTAs, but getting them to take that action. The next type of action you might want them to take is to leave a comment. So you might say something like, vote in the comments, A or B. You know, you might give them 2 outfits and be like, which one should I wear tonight, A or B? You might ask, which is your fave? You know, 1, 2, or 3. You might give them some options. Or you might ask something like, comment yes below if you agree. So, you know, giving them a specific keyword you want to take action. And this works for both, you know, sales-oriented and non-sales-oriented content. Because if you think about, you know, something simple like, do you like dogs or cats? Like, drop a comment below. You know, you're training your audience to take action. You're getting them used to taking action on your content. And that's really important before you go for the sale, that you've trained them to do that they know that it's a safe thing to do, that you'll respond back, that there's other people commenting too. And so the people who get used to these CTAs are the people who then can use them during a campaign time. And that's when you see those kind of sales results. So it's because of that training beforehand.
Yeah. And so when we talk about the algorithm, like I know we kind of have made this into this big, huge thing of this algorithm. What is it all about? Like, let's maybe just break that down for the team.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. And I've heard so many people talk about the algorithm. And it's true that there is a system behind these apps that is working. So if we kind of zoom out a little bit and we think about any kind of app online, you know, what is their goal? Their goal is to get you to use the product, to use the app, to spend more time on the app. So how do they do that? Well, they match your interests with their content. So for example, you know, if you're into like mixed martial arts, right? If you're just a full macho MMA junkie and you get served up a ton of Barbie movie content, you're going to be out of there. You're not going to stick around for that. Or if you're like the full fashionista and you're there for style and beauty tips and, you know, makeup tutorials, and you get served up MMA, you're going to be out of there too. Yeah. So the algorithm works in the back end to connect your interests to the content, which is great, because as a network marketer or any person with a small business, you don't want just random people looking at your content. You want people who are interested in what you have to look at your content. So the algorithm is working on your behalf. The algorithm is your friend. But a lot of the time, what I hear is people complaining about the algorithm. Is this something you've heard too, Alana?
Oh, so much. And everyone is so fearful of it. So everyone's so scared of. And that comes to my next question, which is around then sharing content from one platform to another platform. You know, we talked about juicing the lemon in terms of trying to get the most engagement out of that content. Do platforms penalize us if we share something from one platform to the next?
Yeah, well, certainly there's like rivalries between these big corporates that we're all, you know, from our lowly perspective in the world, we're all aware of, like Elon Musk versus Mark Zuckerberg. Like, but I've got to say, whenever I hear someone talking about this stuff, it's the same as when I hear people talking about the algorithm. My first thought is, don't get distracted. Yeah. The algorithm is not going to buy your product. Zuckerberg or Musk are not going to buy your product. It's people who will buy your product. It's your ideal customer who will buy your product. It's probably a woman just like you who will buy your product. So stop thinking about the algorithm and Musk and Zuckerberg and start thinking about her. What is she struggling with? What's on her to-do list today? And how can you help make her life easier? Because once you start helping, that's when you become part of her conversation, part of her network. And that's when you can offer different things to help as well. And I think that that's all we want to do. We want to connect with others and we want to be helpful.
Yeah, I love that in terms of like, I think we think so much about in the technical world and we actually forget about who is watching the content at the end of the day. So yeah. Definitely. So it's difficult to know like how regularly to contact, how regularly to post content. How do you schedule and post your content?
Yeah, that's a really good question. There's a ton of different tools out there that will help you do that. Some specific ones are Later. That's probably the industry standard. We also have tools like Plan, which is an Australian-based solution, as is Sked. also based in Australia. Then we have beautiful, scheduling apps like Plannerly. There are so many different options. We have Tailwind. There's basically a flavor for whatever is your taste. For me personally, I use Meta. Meta is the free dashboard given to us by Facebook, by Meta Business Suite. And I use that to schedule my content and to have a look at my analytics and to do a whole bunch of stuff there. I like Meta because it is free, and most other tools that are given are paid. So wherever there's a free option, that's where you'll find me. I'm happy to say it. So there's, all different options for you to cater to all different budgets and preferences.
Yeah, absolutely. So then talking about apps, Canva is one of our favorite apps that we love here at LV. So are there any hacks or any tips with Canva that you suggest to us to use?
Oh, absolutely. I love Canva too. I think it's an essential. My favorite hack within Canva is the background remover tool that you can use to take away any background and place yourself anywhere you want. I mean, when we had the intro to this segment, you saw me on a green background. Obviously, that was created using Canva or a Canva-like tool that removed the background. So the way you could use this practically is to, take products that are given to you from your organization, from a product shoot, and then you can overlay them onto photos of yourself or photos of in your situation or in your space, and just connect yourself with the product. I think, often we're given these kind of stock image looking things, and we want to kind of create that personal connection with ourselves and the product. And also you can have a lot of fun with it. Like, you can make your own comic book. I remember as a kid, and, put up your hand if this was you, cutting out pictures out of magazines and like creating my own little kind of collage zine. And, that's what social media is today. It's your own magazine. It's your own collage. You create it the way you want it. And it can be fun. It can be stylish. It can be, anything that you want. And I think that's part of the creativity of this and what can give you energy, completely separate to the sales side of things.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, Jade, I think we could sit down and honestly, we could just keep going through question after question after question. You have been such a wealth of information. I hope everyone has taken away an app, have taken away a tip from here. I know I've thought about some hacks and some different perspectives as well in terms of those aha moments for me. So I wanted to give a massive shout out to you. Thank you so much, Jade, for being so generous with your content, with your knowledge, with your wisdom. I strongly suggest you at home, please jump onto Instagram and follow this girl because she is absolutely amazing. Her content is incredible. At Small Business Growth Club is where you're going to find her on Instagram. So please make sure that you check her out. You are incredibly generous with all of your hacks and tips on social media as well. So it keeps it fresh. It keeps it coming as to what's on the horizon for social media as well. I truly, truly thank you for all of the incredible information that you have given us. Thank you to you at home for tuning in today. And I want to see your social media platform and online presence explode after this session. So thank you so much, Jade. Bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye.